Tata.
Hi.
We're talking about a very serious topic today. We're talking about social anxiety. So, what we're about to talk about is how Tata has been coping with the social anxiety that she's always had. Now, I'm going to be asking her the questions because I don't have that type of anxiety, as you can probably tell. I have totally different types of anxiety. But one reason why we're discussing this topic with all of us fine-tuned females is because as we get older, we realize that anxiety tends to get worse, right?
Yeah, and it comes in many forms. So, all of a sudden these things can come out of the blue. So
Yeah, and I think what is anxiety after all? It's fear of the future, fear of the unknown, fear of what's going to happen.
Well, for me, it's a lot. I think really when I look at it, I think it's really just fear of no control of whatever. It could be of aging. It could be of your health. It could be of an environment that you're in, work.
Yeah, so let's give a quick definition from the research that we've done on social anxiety, which is an irrational fear, like any kind of anxiety is, of being judged and having your flaws found out. What flaws are people going to find
Or
in me?
exposing yourself, basically.
Yes.
Exposing your weaknesses or your flaws.
Yeah, you're afraid to expose yourself.
Well, because I'm perfect and can't have any flaws.
You can't let anybody find out
No.
those little imperfections. So when did you find out that you had social anxiety? Or when did you realize?
Probably in kindergarten.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the first thing that happened to you?
Well, I kind of lived in this little la-la land, Somewhere in my first year of school, a boy came up to me and he socked me right in the stomach. I almost doubled over. I almost fainted. I seriously saw stars, Jill. This guy was strong. He was an older kid, too.
Oh,
nasty to pick on. So that was my first bullying experience.
Although he was actually probably in love with you. What kind of symptoms do you get with your social anxiety?
Well, it does hinder a lot of things. First of all, if I have to go to an event, I get fluttery inside, so I get very nervous. And it's not even, once I'm at the event, I'm okay. It's the anticipation of going and the preparation of it. It even does that at work. Like often I would go to work, and if I had a big meeting, and when you have to prepare a presentation in school or at work, you're always nervous a little bit.
Yeah, we're always afraid of because we're gonna be judged.
Yeah.
Right? If we have an irrational fear.
I would literally sometimes get lockjawed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, where I couldn't say what I wanted to say. I would all of a sudden just tense right up.
Social anxiety goes beyond just speaking in public and going to parties. What other symptoms do you get?
Well, social anxiety could be as much as not being able to go to the corner store. Or go out of your house to walk your dog.
That's right. You were saying when you went shopping, what did you have to do?
Well, when I was just out of high school, starting college, and I had some bullying years in high school, there was a point where I couldn't even go to the shopping mall alone.
Wow.
Yeah. Like just to go get what I needed to get, a gift, or just to go. Like I needed to have someone come with me. I had a fear of going alone.
Right. And okay, so those are the three main ones. Any other of the major symptoms?
So if you're overly sensitive, which also could mean that maybe you're focused too much on looking inside. Mm-hmm. So you become very sensitized to people's criticisms. So that will cause an anxiety of people because you're afraid that people are always going to say something. You're anticipating the worst.
Yeah.
So, that you become overly sensitive. I was a very sensitive child.
Oh,
too,
me too.
so,
I went the complete opposite. That was my coping mechanism.
Right.
I was hyper shy, and I was bullied a lot too. First time someone picked on me, I think I was 5 or 6 years old in first grade.
Yeah.
And like a guy, same thing, punched me in the stomach or knocked me down or something. Same exact thing. But but I didn't get. I had fear of humiliation, but not social anxiety.
Well,
because
humiliation's a huge thing, and that has to do with your ego, right?
Yeah.
So,
but if put me up in front of an audience, I'll talk forever.
Right.
So just let the camera roll.
So
I'll
that
go.
was always difficult for me, was stage fright, basically, talking in front of people. But, the thing is that you have to, what you don't use, you lose. And that's just like exercise, Jill. You don't force yourself to make small steps towards fixing it and doing these things that you're so afraid of, you're never going to overcome them. That's what I find personally.
Right. So what we've read is that cognitive behavioral therapy works, and you've tried that, but it didn't work for you. You found your own. And we're not doctors and we're not therapists, so we're not giving advice.
This is just experience.
What do you do to get through your social anxiety moments?
Well, small things. Let's say the shopping center experience. I felt like I was a prisoner, because I was frustrated that I couldn't get out of the house and go somewhere. I mean, not even to the shopping, just to get out of the house and get to the shopping center. So I would just bite the bullet and say, I am going to go. What's the worst thing that can happen? And if I start to feel panicky when I'm there, or I start to get the flutters because your heart starts to go and then you start to breathe unevenly, I would just take a pause. I would step outside the mall and just take deep breaths and calm myself down and say, nothing's happening. Why? And try to focus on other things. Distract yourself. Distraction's really good.
Yeah.
But I had to go, whether it was go for 5 minutes and leave right away. I had to say I did it. I had to overcome a hurdle.
Yes.
So you got to force yourself to just do it. Just do it, even if it's for a minute.
Or
You
something
did it.
small. You gotta take small baby steps,
Very
right?
small. So I would start and I'd go for 5 minutes. I'd come back. You know, it's such an irrational fear because I traveled for 2 hours to get to school on buses and trains, and that didn't seem to bother me.
Because you had to do it.
I had to do it.
Yeah.
But the optional things to do, and yet if I'm with a bunch of friends and I went out to party or I went out to restaurants or nightclubs, that was fine. I was like the center of all, you know, my friends.
Yeah,
But
I read that when you're in your comfort zone of the people
Absolutely,
that
yeah.
you're with, that you feel that cocoon
Right.
feeling. But it's that stepping out on your own.
when you have to do it alone, and
Yeah.
that could be traveling alone for me is a huge anxiety.
Oh, okay.
If it's somewhere that I don't know, I have to be in something that I'm used to. Once I get a pattern going, I'm very good. Step out of the comfort zone, oh boy.
Yeah.
So what you have to do is sometimes step out of the comfort zone. You have to
Yes.
do just that.
Yeah.
You have to force yourself to step out of the box.
It's just like training because you can't make positive change with your body or your health without getting out of your comfort zone.
Right.
Because if whatever you've been doing every day is not
Right.
getting you to the health and fitness
Right.
that you want, then clearly you need to get out of what you're doing day to day that's keeping you comfortable in your cocoon and go to that next level. So yeah, like we were saying before we started rolling the camera, that there's so much about just repetition and practice.
Right.
Okay, what's another tip?
Well, another tip is that you write about your experience. So you keep like a little journal.
Ah, that's a great one.
And you just talk about, hey, I went there for 5 minutes and, you know, I was feeling a little tense, but it was okay and nothing happened. And you have to keep reading back your notes because eventually you will get your mind used to the fact that it was okay, you know, and nothing really that bad can happen. Nothing,
Yeah.
anything that will happen, you will manage to find your way out of it.
It's amazing I didn't get social anxiety because my grandmother was always telling me if I go somewhere alone, and I was walking to school alone at 5 and 6 and 7 years old
Right.
in Queens, New
Oh
York.
my gosh, yeah.
And my grandmother was always telling me about these stories about kids who were kidnapped and sold into white slavery.
Well, that was nice. My mother too.
Yeah,
So.
it's amazing I didn't get social anxiety.
I
I'm
did.
like,
Brought up to say the world is such a beautiful place and everything's kind and wonderful, but trust no one because they're all out to get you.
all right, so that's another tip. So one is just practicing, going out on your own, forcing yourself to do it. Keeping a journal is a great one. And what else did you do to overcome it?
I played a game.
Mm-hmm.
I role played.
Yeah,
So I would just, like, if I had to go to an event. And
sounds sexy.
It is. It's
A
like,
role
it's
playing?
a little sexual, no.
Who was the spy? Who was the prisoner?
I wore a trench coat and dark glasses. No, but if I had to go to an event, I had to put my mind, I had to walk into that room and I would pretend I own this place. This is my place. This is my event. I'm in charge. The minute you put yourself in charge of you, and if you can really force yourself to do it, and you have to constantly talk to yourself and remind yourself, hey, I'm in charge, not her, not that one, and you know, you desensitize yourself to the people and you own it, you can actually start making some progress. It's hard to do, but you have to role play. You have to play that game like you are in charge. This is your event. You're not invited, you own it. Another good thing is to keep a good posture because I think posture says everything.
Yes.
And if you, you know, and my mother always told me, don't slump, stand straight, you don't look confident.
Yeah, I had terrible posture my whole life until I had my neck surgery, and then I realized how important posture was. It is actually true. It's been proven that when you stand up tall, you broaden your chest, and just like animals do, they puff themselves up to look
Exactly.
bigger than they are.
Right.
And Tony Robbins teaches this. I mean, all
Right.
the self-help gurus
Right.
teach this. There's books about it. You stand up tall and you change your posture, and it
Right.
changes your whole physiology and your own mindset.
Absolutely.
I
So,
didn't learn that till way too late in
I'm
life.
already tall, but you know what? I could feel 2 inches small when I'm insecure about
Yeah.
something. So when there's something psychological when you do stand tall, and I hold my head up, I'm almost looking above. You know, like I almost feel stronger.
It is a physiological
Right.
response. How that automatically builds confidence. And on another note, it actually gives you more oxygen, so you actually are sharper and more clear in the brain, and it helps you actually relax mentally because up tall, your lungs fill up, and I'm saying this as a trainer, you stand up tall, your lungs fill up with oxygen, and you just automatically get more energy from that, isn't it? It's pretty
It's,
cool.
you know-
Totally physiological, not just psychological.
And there's another little trick, I mean,
Okay.
it works, is when you do stand up tall and you feel, you emanate this confidence, and then you smile. And it doesn't matter. People don't know what you're thinking when you're smiling.
Yeah.
When you look sour or you look scared, you can see it on your face right away.
Yeah.
But if you go into an event and you're smiling, even if people are saying nasty things or great, you just smile through the whole thing. Honestly, they think you hold all the cards.
Yeah.
It is a power tool.
Yeah.
It really is. And you just stand and you smile and it's fine. And if someone even insults you, which, can happen sometimes. Someone could be mad and say, I'm really pissed at you because you did this and this and this. And you're like, oh, really? And you smile. It takes them down.
But in social anxiety, it's the fear of not people that you know, because I insult you all the time.
Yeah, but you
No,
it's
you
like part of the physical
you
training.
insult me all the time.
We do. It's part of staying fit.
But it's really about strangers, right? It's like you're very concerned with how strangers
Right.
perceive
So
you,
when
not
they
people
see you
know.
coming in and smiling, first of all, they lighten up because they don't see you as a big threat anymore.
Yeah.
Because you have a pleasant-looking face, not a tense one.
Yeah.
You're not all tense and you're like smiling. You look relaxed.
You disarm them.
You disarm them.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. You're
Yeah.
actually gaining power, which is what anxiety is about. It's about a feeling of having no power, no control.
Yeah, and you want to feel empowered. You want to feel more empowered with
You do,
yourself.
yeah.
I also have that thing that we get as we get older, which I've always had since I was a kid, where we wake up with anxiety. And you wake up with anxiety too, and sometimes you can't sleep. It wakes you up in the middle of the night.
In the middle of the night,
What do you do for that?
When I'm really, really super anxious, I gotta get up. I gotta go downstairs because I've gotta distract myself immediately from
That
that
I think
thought.
is the new method that
Yeah.
you do. Don't try to force yourself to sleep. Get
and
up.
I go and I make myself a warm cup of milk or whatever it is you want, so something warm, and I maybe read for 5-10 minutes, and then I start to get a little bit more relaxed. I'm out of that zone. I have to distract myself.
And I think that as we're getting older, we all get more anxiety. Mine's pretty much stayed the same because I've always had that morning anxiety.
Yeah.
And the one thing that got me over it was when my training business got so busy, I had to be up every single day at 5 in the morning, sometimes 10 to 5 in the morning. So I don't have time to think. My alarm goes off. I'm like, where's my coffee? Oh.
Yeah.
And
When you're in a race, it's you're just trying to get everything
before
done.
I could
Yeah.
before my brain could go anywhere, I
Yeah.
was out the door. But that's not social anxiety. That's just general
That's
anxiety.
general anxiety.
All
Yeah.
right, well, I think you had some really good tips. Anything else? Because they do say cognitive behavioral therapy, working with a therapist, is the main thing to do, and then Xanax.
There's always that. Always seek out some kind of support group or online. I mean, yes, they do have cognitive therapies and all sorts of other things medically, but also you could just go to a support group. They have them online. You don't have to go to them. But once you go online, that'll get you out, because then you'll feel more confident. You'll be able to actually go to a meeting or seek a social group or a support group or friends that are supportive. Another thing to do is, again, the game playing thing, which I like to do, is when you're standing tall and you're trying to, even if you think you're fooling yourself, people don't see what's inside. They only see what you're portraying outside. Is when you want to engage and have more control, you have to make eye contact with people.
Oh, yes. Because
Don't
that's
look
a big
down or like nervously aside, because that just shows your weaknesses right there.
Yeah, that's a big fear. I'll never forget, he'll never be watching this. Kenneth from 8th grade sat next to me.
God, what a memory this
Kenneth in 8th grade, you know who you are. He said to me when I was 14 years old, because I was always afraid to make eye contact, he said to me, he goes, you never make eye contact with me when you're talking to me. And I was like, oh shit. So I worked on that ever since I was 14, and now I have no problem with it. But thank God someone pointed it out to me. Sometimes you actually need someone. Like,
You need to know about it, and actually when you start doing it, you actually get more confident. It's so
Yeah.
funny how this thing happens naturally when you start trying these things. It did
Yeah.
for me anyway.
yeah.
And don't mistake that with not making eye contact with someone you're trying to avoid, because they're going to suck you into a 5-hour conversation you don't want to have.
Yeah.
Oh, another thing for social anxiety, which I found, is having a good sense of humor. So what you do is, instead of worrying about your imperfections, laugh at them.
Yeah.
Let go. Lighten up. They're funny. Make a funny thing out of it. Find something funny in the room that you're in. Look at the people and laugh.
And
Again,
pretend everyone's naked.
and that's
Isn't that a technique?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. They always
That's one
say
of-
that. Yeah.
That's one of
I'm
those.
just not good at that kind of visualization, though.
I can't visualize that because I don't really. Why is it all the people that you don't want to see naked are the ones that are at the nudist beaches? It's like the people you don't want to see.
They have nothing to lose.
Exactly.
They don't care. They're
Yeah,
happy.
no, I can't do the visualizing people naked either.
It doesn't work for me at all. No.
All right, so in the next episode, we will be pointing out all of our flaws.
Yay! And we'll be laughing at them.
Yes, I always laugh at mine. All right, so if you have any social anxiety tips that you'd like to share with us, please leave your comments below. And as always, please like and subscribe to our channel. And if you have a great idea for a topic that you would like Tata and I to discuss, please share that with us below as well. And we'll see you next time.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.